So where do we go from here? What are we supposed to do? I'm not going to lie to you. The past week has been interesting. I mean, off rip, we get presentation about the Nintendo Switch 2. It's exciting. The presentation itself was phenomenal. I mean, I remember screaming, yelling, having a good time. Pricing structure ends up becoming something that is a questionable topic. People aren't too excited about it. I, for one, wasn't bothered at first, thought more about it. Still am not bothered at the level of some people, but still, pricing structure is kind of a mess. We get no communication from Corpo. We get no really future plans. They pull pre-orders in the United States. More questions, more questions. In the United States, worldwide, we're seeing increase of questions about consumer goods, electronics, imports, exports, tariffs, presidents. It's a mess. It's a mess. Where do we go from here? This video that I'm creating is kind of, not kind of, it is. It's the answer. No, I'm just joking. I don't have the answer, dude. I'm just a dad. But what it is not a commentary on bad decisions made by corporations, but rather it is more of a practical navigation. How do we approach this? Here's a way to think about it. This isn't a philosophical kumbaya like my last one, which really rubbed people the wrong way. This is genuine. What are we going to do? So let's start by who do we have, right? We have 4 different entities, 4 different pillars in the gaming space. We have the PlayStation, right? Sitting at about $500, give or take. A couple extra $100 for something of higher performance or whatever. So $500, great. We have Xbox, entry level $300, going up to $500, $600, depending on storage options and performance levels, but still $300. Xbox really, you don't even need to buy their consoles. You can just play their stuff on different TVs or whatever. They don't really care. It doesn't matter what you use for Xbox. Xbox, you got that. You have PC, which I think at this point, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments and be respectful, I think the PC gaming space has just been priced out, right? I think if you're not in PC gaming right now in 2025, it's probably one of, if not the worst times to get into PC gaming. I don't think that I would want to look for PC parts right now in 2025, especially given what's going on with imports, exports, and different things in the United States. I don't think that trying to build a PC is probably going to be the best experience. I could be wrong. But based on what I'm seeing, my own PC went up in value. It didn't hold its value. Listen to me. It went up in value. I can sell it for more than I bought it for. That's nuts. And that itself is kind of the trigger for this thought. And lastly, we have Nintendo. Old hardware, new hardware. If you stay old hardware, you're spending anywhere from $300 to $350. Entering into new hardware, we're not really certain. I mean, worldwide, we have something that is crazy, different prices, different regions, that's not unheard of, but not like $300 in the United States and 300 euros over in Europe, which is more dollars. No, like 300, or not 300, but like $450 in the United States, 450 euros, I think. I don't know. It might have changed. And then like the equivalent of $380 in Japan or something. Like crazy. Like not like, oh, they used the same number but different currency, but like genuinely completely different pricing. Right? And again, this isn't going to be a commentary about greedy companies. We're going to take everything at face value and see how do we navigate this, because philosophically it does us nothing to take my stance, which is let's just all band together and enjoy it and then just kind of eat the cost. Right? I know that that's not the most popular opinion, and I don't really hold that opinion. It just kind of like seems like I do. But how do we navigate that, right? So with Nintendo, we just got Doug Bowser actually coming out and being like, yo, hey, let's chat about this. And right up front goes variable pricing, right? Let's talk about variable pricing. And gives a comparison about going to the movies. It costs you, X amount of dollars to go to the movies. Sometimes you get popcorn. That experience is a singular 2-hour experience, and then you move on. Gaming is continuous. It is, whatever. And so the cost goes up. And some people, here's the deal. Can we just for a second take a step back and be like, that's a very, very valid way. It's a good way to look at it. It's a valid argument, right? That's not necessarily the correct, right? It doesn't feel good. But we can at least say like, okay, if we're going to compare going to a movie to playing video games, hour to hour, yes, that does track. It costs a lot less to play a video game per hour played. That's not how people look at it, and we have to look at the grand scale of things, because it's not just one video game. You go to the movie once, $30, one experience, you're done. But like, you don't go to movies over and over and over again, right? Titles, you keep purchasing more titles, and so it ends up stacking up pretty exponentially. But that's, again, it's not really, it's a good example, right? Whether it's detached, out of touch, whatever you want to say, it's a good example. But still, what we see from that example isn't, I'm not going to say, greedy Nintendo, whatever, right? I'm going to say what we see is gaming's getting more expensive. Across the board, gaming is getting more expensive. And we're faced with something that is really, really actually the more important thing, I think, with this whole situation, isn't just that it's getting more expensive. Prices to get in is getting more aggressive. And we might see pricing increase not just a little, but exponentially over the coming years if different companies decide to either A, follow trends, or worldwide trade changes. Simple as that, right? Factual. Again, I'm trying to stick to not objective. I'm just trying to stick to, like, what are we looking at? What is it? Whether it's right or wrong, what are we looking at, right? Now, because if you think that this is all wrong, poppycock, complete balderdash, totally okay to think that. I'm not going to sit here and try to get on a high horse about it. Whether you thought I did before or not, I don't want you to feel that way. If you don't like it, and you're like, I'm not going to do this, I can't handle it, I can't purchase from Nintendo, they're greedy. Don't. I would hate, I don't know you personally, so it really doesn't matter to me, but like, I would hate to be someone who purchases things and I'm like, I hate that these people, they're the worst, I'm still going to buy it from them, they're the worst. Like, that's just not a good place to be. Every time you look at the Nintendo device, you're like, I hate them, I'm still going to use it. It's just not good, right? I think that's its own idea for its own time. Back to the expensive thing. Gaming's getting more expensive. What do we do? I think that console gaming genuinely, like, really, as unfortunate as it may seem, has come back as a viable, affordable option. If it comes down to, it seems like affordability is really the biggest driving force of a lot of these conversations, right? People are upset because the Nintendo Switch is no longer at a level that is affordable. It is at a level, they used to be the budget console, and now they are competitively priced, and it feels unfair. It feels insulting. That's a very, very understandable feeling, when you're expecting to be able to purchase something at a price that is not going to hurt as bad, and then whether it's situational or it's just or the company's fault, whatever it may be, you can't purchase it for that reason anymore. That's not fun. That's not fun. And so when it comes to the Switch doing that, you start to think, well, what are my options? If Nintendo is going to release these titles, they have a few that they're releasing, right? Those few titles up front, with Mario Kart World, which I'm very excited for as a Mario Kart fan. I just recently went through the first half, right? Mario Kart, Super Mario Kart, which is absurdly difficult, all the way through Double Dash. And then now I am going to go through the Wii, DS, 3DS, Wii, and then, of course, Mario Kart 8, which is going to be fun. But when it comes to the games they're releasing, Mario Kart World, and then, Donkey Kong Odyssey Deluxe, right? Let's be real. It's Donkey Kong Odyssey. Those games may not tickle your fancy. They may not tickle your fancy. And then when you look at the other things that they're doing on release with upgrades that you have to pay for, as well as other things, you start to go, okay, it's really stacking up to be something that is costing me a lot. What do I do? Where do I go? And if gaming is going to be variable and we're going to start seeing these price increases with Nintendo, who do I choose? Okay, who do I choose? For those of you watching, or listening only, I just picked up a device. I'm not suggesting that one is better than the other, and I'm not going to sit here and be like, hey, you should go and get a Steam Deck over a Nintendo Switch. I'm not going to say that because I don't believe that to be true. I don't believe you should get a Nintendo Switch over a Steam Deck. But when we start to break down where gaming is going and how the world economics, right? I'm not going to go into tariffs. I'm not going to go into presidents. I'm not going to go into good or bad decisions. I'm going to take it at face value. When we start to break down what is happening worldwide with consumer goods and electronics in general, there is a dramatic shift in the well, I don't know if distribution is going to change, but there's a dramatic shift on who is actually going to be able to afford these products moving forward. I mean, if we look at portable PCs and the market for portable PCs, they started out absurdly expensive with the Aya Neo and any competitive, really good performing portable PCs before the Steam Deck. We're talking like $700 to $1,000 back in 2015 to 2018. Right. And then years later, we see the Steam Deck come out and it's very competitively priced. I mean, extremely competitively priced with the $500, around $500, upwards of $600. And now with the Steam Deck OLED, we have, I would say, a very, very extremely competitive device. And knowing that the Nintendo Switch 2 will enter into the market at $450 or euros, which equals to like almost $500. The Steam Deck actually starts to be even more competitive. Now, there's one thing that the Steam Deck doesn't have natively. I say natively because some people yo-ho their way all the way to the pirate stat. Okay, so I'm not going to say that it doesn't happen, and I'm not an idiot or ignorant. I know that people pirate, okay? But there's one thing that the Steam Deck doesn't have. That is Nintendo first-party titles. Now, you can emulate third-party. You can emulate, do your thing, whatever. I'm not suggesting that that is the way that you go about playing Nintendo titles on your Steam Deck. If you do that, you do that, right? There's a very vibrant community around that. But the Steam Deck itself doesn't have Nintendo titles. And the reason why Nintendo is able to do what they do, or have been able to do what they do for a long time, is because they got this guy. I like that guy. I'm a huge fan of Mario. In fact, I'm just going to come out and say it right now. I like Mario over Link. I said it. You guys can, be mad about it, but I'm more of a Mario fan than I am of a Zelda fan. And I very much so like Zelda, Link, all that stuff. Okay? And so when it comes to the Steam Deck, they don't have that. They don't have first-party titles. But that isn't the complaints. That isn't the outcry. That isn't what people are feeling in their heart of hearts and their soul of souls, but most of all in their wallets, right? Phone. What they're feeling is the constraints of their budgets. What they're feeling is how their pocketbook is being attacked. And whether they look at it like I do, which is this is the way the world is going, and whether I like it or not, this is the way it is, or the other way, which is these are companies being greedy and money hungry. However you look at it, the end result's the same. It is more money. And when it comes to gaming as a whole, as a parent, as a husband, as a hobbyist, as someone who has to live in this world that costs as much as it costs, seeing prices go up, and actually the cost of goods in general kind of being held hostage in a way, I'm looking at it and I'm going, well, we got to make some reasonable decisions. If I look at my Nintendo Switch now in the library that I have collected, reluctantly, he shows his very modest library, I think to myself, well, none of these actually are going to stop being able to be played on my Nintendo Switch. And in fact, my Nintendo Switch 2 is being it's being said, or not being said, but it's being advertised as the best way to play Nintendo Switch 1 games. Right. Okay. That's good. Right? So I can still play those titles. I mean, sure, some of the titles on launch weren't the greatest. I mean, Scarlet and Violet, I will always give you guys crap because you guys really aren't that good on the Switch. But I'm also not going to sit here and be like, oh, I can't play most of my time. I can. I mean, the Nintendo Switch is getting upgrades. The Zelda games, the two, Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, are getting upgrades, but really those upgrades really are just feeding through that app, right? And all that stuff, which if you like it, cool. If you don't or don't care, the performance upgrades are nice. But I look at the Nintendo Switch 2 and I think to myself, I'm a little disappointed, right? And I know, coming from me, I'm elated at the fact that there is a Nintendo Switch that's going to come out that's going to extend the life of all of these titles and breathe new life into them, much like the OLED did when the OLED launched. My disappointment doesn't come from the device itself not giving me what I want. No, it does give me what I want. What the device itself is doing, which disappoints me, is it's been positioned in such a fashion that it has completely divided gaming. It is now a device that is being recognized as one that is a sobering reality. We are not in a good spot when it comes to the gaming world and how much it costs to participate in this hobby, right? Some would argue, well, you don't have to. You get on Steam, dude. You can buy games for cheap. It's easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Absolutely. Absolutely. But the problem herein lies for someone like myself and others out there who are in a similar situation. I'm a family man. I like the idea of sitting down with my daughter and playing Mario Kart. I like the idea of sharing games with my daughter. I like the idea of sharing experiences with my daughter and eventually my son when he's old enough to understand how to play video games. I like those ideas. And Nintendo has always been positioned in such a fashion where they are the people who will provide me with that experience. And while Steam is capable of providing me with games to play with my family, it's just not the same experience on PC, right? Or Steam or Asus ROG Ally X. These are personal experiences. Multiplayer options are very, very possible. And again, it is possible to do these things. And you're going, well, what about the PlayStation, Xbox, JD? Those are home consoles you can do stuff with. Yes, they absolutely are. But you can't deny that the magic isn't made as easily with them. The magic is made with Nintendo. And it is a little bit of a saddening moment when you realize, it's just not like it once was. And so us as gamers have to start making decisions we never really thought were going to happen, like, should I indeed upgrade? Is it actually worth it? Because the cost to upgrade is sacrificial. That is a really interesting place to be when it comes to a hobby. When you start to have the hobby not be the thing that you run to, but rather the thing that you consider. I don't know about you, but when I look at this whole thing as a whole, I see someone who has attempted for the past few years to create a business around video games and has realized that there's a lot more nuance to creating a business around this and has had to tone back a lot, right? I'm not someone who can just freely go and I'm just going to get everything and then do it. I tried that at first. It ended up stacking in a way that was not favorable in the long run. And so I've had to shift the way that I do things to be more in line with the reality of it, which is what can I afford? What can I actually purchase, right? And when thinking about the Nintendo Switch 2, seeing the response from Doug Bowser, from the person who is kind of at the helm, when seeing the prices elsewhere of other devices that are capable of playing, a myriad of games, I start to ask myself the question, what am I supposed to do? How do I serve my family and this hobby of mine? And I never thought I'd be in a space where I'd have to ask that question. So practically speaking, when I look at all this, you would say, oh, well, then, doesn't the Steam Deck just kind of beat the Switch in all different categories? And I would say, in some ways, the Steam Deck does have a leg up on the Nintendo Switch 2. First, the AAA game, or they're going to be getting titles for, less, right? Elden Ring already exists on the Nintendo Switch. Sorry, not on the Nintendo Switch. It does now, but on the Steam Deck, I already play Elden Ring on it, right? Cyberpunk, you can already play on there, and all these titles you can already play on there. So it's very much so Apple, us over on Android, right? Which I've never owned it. Well, no, that's not true. I owned it for 6 months, but we've had that feature for a while. Why does it matter? It's very much so. I don't know if it's going to track the same, because at least with Apple, they offer things that are super insane and convenient. The walled garden that kind of make it so that when they do stuff you can now customize your home screen, and people on Android are we've been doing that for a decade now. We go, oh, great, a new feature. This is exciting, because we just are stuck here. Maybe that's how people feel with the Nintendo Switch. Maybe, I don't know if people feel like they're stuck with that console. But as I see this whole thing moving forward, I'm Nintendo Switch is coming into a very, very stacked sector. The portable gaming sector. They pioneered it. They were the first to really launch people into portable gaming with their handheld devices into the actual Nintendo Switch. I don't think that we would get Steam Decks, ROG Allies, and Legion Goes, or MSI Cloud. I'm not going to name them all. I don't think we'd get that without the Nintendo Switch showing up. I just don't think that would have happened. But it did. Not only did it happen, but these other companies have ran with the idea of portable gaming. And if the world as we know it is shifting in a direction where purchasing these luxury items these pieces of technology are going to change. The pricing structure is going to change. I mean, for goodness sakes, to get a Asus ROG Ally X not on sale is $700, $800. I think it's $800, $799. No, is it $799? It's not $699. It's $799. And to get the 2 terabyte option, it's $899. I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, I'm off by $100. But either way, that is not chump change, ladies and gentlemen. That is not chump change. And honestly, if we're looking at the future of gaming moving forward, if you want to future-proof yourself to the best of your ability, I wouldn't say the Nintendo Switch 2 is the best way to do it. While I think the Nintendo Switch 2 is the best way to play Mario, Link, and those games, I would say if truly you want to future-proof yourself, portable PCs, dude. You can't buy a PC at a reasonable price anymore. Laptops, gaming laptops, I don't know. I don't know if they're really a viable option. I've never really enjoyed them. The flexibility that you have with something along these lines, the optimization, I mean, for goodness sakes, they made Cyberpunk capable to be run on a Nintendo Switch 2, which the Nintendo Switch 2 might have some insane hardware under the hood, but still, the fact that companies are going to be optimizing to play on a Nintendo Switch, I mean, the Series X is even, Series X, excuse me, the Series S is even being supported still. The fact that these still exist, it just goes to show you that there are going to be builds that are going to be used to be run on these portable devices. I mean, the Steam Deck has the verification little check mark, and as Steam ushers in or drops their OS, we're going to start seeing more of that. The future of gaming is portable. It's clear. It's always been clear. It's been that way for years. But I think that if you are looking for a way to offset the cost of gaming as a whole, and you just don't know if the Nintendo Switch 2 is going to do it for you. You just don't know. You look at the pricing, you're frustrated with the way the company's going about things, and a handful of exclusive titles are just not doing it for you. Totally fair, dude. Not everybody loves Mario, right? Not everyone thinks that The Legend of Zelda is the adventure game of the century, right? Not everybody thinks that, okay? A lot of people do, but man, not everybody. I have friends who are like, yeah, it's cool, but like, it's really not for me, right? I get it. I think that we are kind of in a weird time, like time sensitive as in weird time. I'm looking at this and I go, man, this is crazy. Stuff's getting more expensive. My hobby is becoming less of a casual thing. By casual, I mean I can interact with it casually, and more of a big, huge, like this is actually sacrificial. Like it takes a good amount of money to play. That's a big deal. And as I said, my disappointment with the Switch, I don't think I finished the thought. I didn't. My disappointment isn't that it doesn't deliver on the things I wanted. I just wanted a better Nintendo Switch 1. My disappointment was I put a lot of faith in it. I put a ton of faith in it. I thought, man, this is going to unite people. This is going to bring people together. This is going to do this thing where everyone's going to get on board. It's going to grant me a space to have conversations around something that I really love, and I've been wanting to really dive into a more of that kind of atmosphere. And that was like something I really banked on. And my disappointment is multifaceted. One is I'm seeing the thing that I love, right? Not love, because you love people, not things. Just had this conversation with my daughter the other day. I'm seeing the thing that I like. I like Nintendo. I'm very, very much so a Nintendo fan. Some would call me biased. Sure, right? I would choose them over PlayStation. So if that's a bias, there you go. But I'm seeing the thing that I like do things that I don't like. And I'm like, I don't like that. It's not that I don't like that they're doing them. I don't like that the prices are the way they are, sure. I don't like that there's a lot of ambiguity around it all. I don't like that. I like communication. I don't like these things. And I'm going, man, what a bummer. Now, I'm not raising my fist and going, curse you, you horrible corporate greedy. No, because I don't do that. I don't function that way. And so I just don't do it, right? That's just not the way I act. But I don't like that. That's not fun for me. Am I excited for the Nintendo Switch 2? Absolutely. Yes. Will I get it day one? I sure as heck will try to. But again, I can't deny that when I look at the Nintendo Switch 2 and I look at my Nintendo Switch 1, I go, man, they're offering a lot. Like I can share games with other people, and I only need one cartridge to bring other friends along, and the digital sharing is better. I had an incident on Steam where my daughter started playing Mario Kart, and it kicked me off my whole, not Steam, on Switch, kicked me off my whole Switch situation. Done. Because she can't play the same game. It's digital. And it was logged into my account. It kicked me off. I wasn't even playing Mario Kart. Well, I technically was, but I was playing Mario Kart Advance. And so it was like, come on, dude. So that's going to be better. There's features that are being brought to the table. The chat function, which is behind a paywall. That part I will say, that doesn't seem right. There you go. There's your soundbite. The guy who's overly positive about Nintendo and is okay with the pricing structure goes, it's not right. Chat shouldn't be that. A function that's like hardwired in, that does seem a little weird. It does indeed. It does. It's like, hey, you can take screenshots, but you don't get to view them. Like it's kind of a bizarre thing. Like, right? Again, I'm not going to raise my fist and scream, curse you, like, because that's just not who I am. But it is. If anything, over these past, weekend and week, I've learned a very valuable lesson. We are not in control of what happens out there. We're not. I'm not in control of pricing structures. I'm certainly not in control of the way that the internet receives the videos I make. I'm not in control of the reaction that people get for different ways that companies present themselves. We're not in control. While I left the Nintendo Switch presentation, the direct in like tears of joy, being like, it happened. I was quickly faced with the reality that it didn't happen. It didn't. People aren't pleased. People seem to be upset. And I think that a lot of things that have happened across the board is there's so much going on. There's so much going on. And that, for something, I think, is something that, take a step back. We aren't in control of all these things, okay? We aren't. Companies are going to make decisions we don't like. They're going to double down, triple down, and they're going to just keep going and running with it. Does that mean you should boycott? You should scream, yell, protest? Hey, I won't, but you might. Okay. But we're not in control. And so if we're to take things at face value, then the only thing we are in control of is how we move forward and maintain some interaction with this beautiful hobby. And while it was kind of convoluted and all over the place because I'm just in a weird headspace right now, I've been really struggling, just showing up, dude. I'm going to be straight with you. I have a hard time with these videos. I have a hard time doing this thing. I'm trying to like push through the sticky spot of like showing up when it doesn't seem like it's worth it. I'm doing my best. And so I'm trying to keep my thoughts about me, but I'm having a hard time. And I'm not going to lie when I say that it kind of was the final straw for me when I was looking to something for such a long time to be like that really exciting thing that I could get excited about with other people. And it's falling apart at the seams. And I'm like, man, ain't that just life, dude? Ain't that just life? If there's a lesson to be learned, it's putting your trust and your hope in tangible things that are controlled by others is probably not the safest way to kind of move forward. So there's a lesson to be learned there, I hope. I hope this meant something to some of you because, gosh, I feel like these videos right now are like Hail Marys. Just trying to prove to myself I'm supposed to do this. You guys are awesome. Thanks for listening. As always, a little bit of heart there at the end for the few of you that stick to the very, very end. But I'm going to stick by what I say, which is play more, be kind, be awesome. All right.